daughter of a civil servant
Okay.
and a primary school teacher.
For those of you whose parents are like mine, they're within the country, don't feel scared, you can still get to where she is.
I grew up in Kenya. I went to Kilimani Primary School and then to one of the Loreto Convent schools for high school.
Okay.
And then for many years, I worked in development,
Okay.
in international development, so
Okay.
World Bank, UN, British government, until I was in my early mid 40s. And that's when I decided to try something, do something alone for myself, like be my own boss.
Yeah.
And I think it's something a lot of women go through. You get to a stage where you're juggling so many things. If you're a mother, if you're a wife, if taking care of family, and you kind of want to own a little control, have a bit more control of your life.
Yeah.
You think business is where it will be easier, but you end up finding you're working even harder.
Yeah.
And but so I don't think it's unique. A lot of my friends at around the same time left employment, and if I look around now at a lot of my friends who are in their 50s, I can probably count how many are still employed by someone other than themselves. So yeah, I think if you've started being an entrepreneur earlier,
Yeah.
that's good in a way, because you have many more years to refine the thing that you do. Yeah.
Okay, what I hear you say is that you don't have to be jobless to get into entrepreneurship, and you worked for very big organizations that most of us just dream about. So what inspired the transition from corporate world to entrepreneurship?
Yeah, like I said, I think the type of work I was doing was making me move countries, and I didn't want my kids to grow up in many different, there's a name for it, like kids who grow up nomads or something. So I wanted to raise them in Kenya, and I didn't want to be employed. So that was the real motivation, but I was very naive. I mean, I don't think I understood anything much about business.
Okay.
But the years of working, I think no matter what you do in life, you'll pick up something that you'll end up using in the next thing you do. So I learned structure, I learned discipline, I learned how to do, how to think about projects, how to plan, how to execute. So I think some of those skills were transferable, but I had no background in fashion, no background in manufacturing, no background in retail, no background in business before we started Vivo. Yeah.
I think the take home there is structure, planning, which is consistent across industry. So during your transition, did you experience any fears, uncertainties as you were transitioning? I mean, there's a comfort that comes with corporate jobs every other day, knowing your salary is guaranteed. Were there any fears, and how did you manage through that?
Well, I don't think there's anything these days that's guaranteed, even if you're employed, because the world is so uncertain. But for sure, there is a level of anxiety that comes with running your own business. Yeah. And it hasn't gotten easier, if I'm honest. I think I am more anxious today than I was 10 years ago. Because there's more at stake. There are more jobs that would be affected. There are more people watching. There's more expectation. Yeah. So, the fears of leaving corporate to start a business were much less than the fears now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I mean, there you have it. Just start, and the rest will fall in place. So stepping away from the corporate, let's talk about building something of your own. When you look back at the early days of Vivo, what stands out as the key turning points? Turning points, yes.
Pivots, you mean? Like when things sort of shifted?
Yes.
I think there have been many. I mean, look, when we started it was going to be online only. That changed within less than a year. It was going to be dance and fitness. That changed. It became clothing. It was going to be imported. That changed. It became made in Kenya. So I think that the business is constantly evolving, and there's been more clarity on, I mean, even the point at which it became, you sort of think, this is a real business.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like there are people, you can be doing a business and it's like, yeah, you know, it's your side hustle, it's whatever. But then at some point you're like, actually, this is a real business. Because any of us can print a business card and call ourselves CEO, you know, that's easy. But, you know, so I don't know when that happened for me, but I think there was a point at which I was like, hiya, Yani, this thing is for real.
It's
like,
real.
you know, they're real. When you sign leases, like when you go to a mall and you have to sign a 6-year lease, then you're like, okay, this is real. You start employing people and giving contracts. You know, you're paying taxes. Those kind of, you join CAM. You become a member of WIM. You know, there are things that you're like, you know, because you can fake it till you make it. But there's a point at which it's like, you can't, you know, we're not faking this anymore.
Okay, okay, thank you for that. And of course, every journey has its challenges and a lot. And just listening to you, I could pick a few. Apart from the AGOA, which you spoke about, the one from the US, that I think is the most recent, what are the other challenges that stretched you looking back in your over 10 years journey, where if you look back, you're like, at that point, I felt like I'm going to throw it in and say it's a wrap?
Ooh. Okay, I've never said I'm going to throw it in.
Oh, that's a good thing.
Not yet. I gave myself permission.
It's not happening.
But it hasn't happened yet.
Let's speak to it.
There are days I don't want to go to work, so I don't. If you're really feeling like you can't work that day, you know, sometimes you need a break. Because when it's your own business as well, you never switch off completely. So you know, you can work through the weekend, you can work through the holidays. Everyone took Wednesday off. You know, no one came into the office here, but I worked in my office at home for 10 hours straight. So it's, you know, so sometimes you do need that break. But I think the challenge is, okay, the ones that I found the most painful or hard is when you feel betrayed or let down, especially when staff are stealing or there's fraud, and the reality is it's there always. But I still always find it hard. You know what I mean? It's never, especially if it's someone who's been with you a long time and you think, you know, you built a level of trust. I don't believe in hierarchies. I mean, I do in the sense that you must create structure, but I don't, you know, I like an atmosphere in which everyone is equal in the sense that we're all humans, we all deserve respect, we all deserve dignity, and there's no job for me that is too beneath me. So if we need to, there are not enough people to serve tea, I'll serve tea. If the floor needs sweeping, we'll sweep. I mean, you know, that thing of like, oh, you're the boss, that makes you special. So I hope that's, you know, that's translated a little bit. Like, we're all first name basis. You know, we don't have those kind of, we try to create an environment in which people can challenge and question and speak their truth. Even to me or to the senior leadership, like that, you know, I think that's very important to an organization to be able to grow. Like if everyone more junior thinks, my job is not to think, my job is just to do what I'm told, you're not creating the leaders of tomorrow. And I think that sometimes is a bit counterintuitive to the way we're raised and the way we're educated, where, you know, my father used to say, you know, if I look at him, don't look at me. And then if I look down, look at me. And you didn't really know what you were supposed to do. And sometimes even your expression, you could get in trouble. You know, forget about saying what you really think. So I think, you know, we're trying to change that sort of culture. So one of the values is question, challenge, improve. Constantly question. There's always a way to try and make it better. I mean, and so I'm sort of thinking corporate values, which are the ones that are really shaped by my own. I think for me, it's just a very passionate and firm belief in the power and the possibility of this continent and of us. You know, like we're not a company. You don't see a lot of expatriates, or, you know, we believe that we can figure this thing out. We might need help, we can learn lessons, we can bring experts, but I'm like, we can do this. Like, we're very capable, you know? There's nothing, I've gone to factories, businesses in all parts of the world. There's nothing we cannot do. We just sometimes are lacking the opportunities, the resources, the equipment, the machinery, but we're just as capable. And so for me, that's like, when I think about Vivo succeeding, it's like, we need to show we can do this, you know, and this brand, Zara came from a village in Spain.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
why can't a brand in Nairobi or hundreds of brands from Kenya or Africa go around the world? You know, so that's a strong sort of value.
And again, I believe you walk the talk, because some of us here, I'm sure some of you are served tea by Wandia. Yes. So, I mean, when she says she believes in there's no job beneath her, she's actually embodying the servant leader, which most of us have a long way to learn. But having said that, what are the role of mentorship in your life, and who are the key mentors who have shaped your journey to where you are?
So some are people I know, and some are people I don't know, but I pretend I know.
The world is a
The
global
ones you
village.
listen to online, on podcasts. I mean, I'm serious. Like I genuinely, I go to them for advice.
Yeah.
Nyambura, were you here earlier? Nyambura, my AI assistant,
Yes.
is now my mentor as well. Like, I'm not even joking.
Yeah.
Because I think there's that AI intelligence can bring knowledge from all over and distill it in a way that can work for you. Yeah. But I think, you know, for me, mentorship is not, I don't have a structured type of mentor relationship, but I have a lot of people that I go to for advice. And it depends what advice I need. Okay. You know, if I need advice, Marianne has left, but if I need advice on operational manufacturing, I mean, I just asked her, do you run a second shift? She's like, yes, and when you're ready, come and I'll show you.
Okay.
Do you know? And I think knowing what you need or want help in, then you can be very specific. Because you can be like, I know you expanded to these places. I am planning to do the same. What did you learn? What are the things I should avoid? What can make me do that faster and not have to go through the same painful process as if I'm starting from scratch? Yeah. So, and I think also, don't be afraid to ask. The worst that people can say is no, I don't have time. But honestly, I think 70 to 80% of the time someone will say yes. But make it easy for them. You know? Go with very clear questions. Say, we don't need to meet in person if you don't have time. We can do an online call. I mean, I organized a friend of mine to have a sort of call with somebody she wanted to meet. Yeah. And it was half an hour, video call. And she said it was so helpful. She had her questions ready, you know, and whatever. So I think sometimes when you think of mentoring, we make it too complicated, and you want someone to sign a contract. Like, I will make myself available once a week for an hour. We meet for coffee at Java. You pay, and whatever. I mean, that if it can work, that's great. Yeah. But I think, you know, be specific, and most people are quite happy to share. Okay. Yeah. So my mentors are not all older. You guys can be my mentors too. Because you've walked around here, and I'm sure as much as you saw things you liked, you may have other things, ideas of, hey, okay, but if you did it this way, you know what I mean? Yeah. So I love talking to people of all backgrounds, all generations, all industries. You listen to someone talk about the way they do their music, and you'll pick up something. Yeah. Yeah? So I open the world to mentorship, and I receive it gladly.
So what you're saying is we don't overcomplicate the mentorship issue.
Should we move to questions? I'm worried about that.
Okay.
I'm just saying do you guys have questions? Do you? Okay, so maybe one or two?
I'm on the last
one.
Oh,
you're on the last one, perfect. Okay.
So
your questions are great. I'm just worried because we promised you guys that we'd have you out of here by 5:30, and I want to make sure we honor that.
Not a problem. Thank you. How do you manage pressures and still maintain a work-life balance? Because I think that's part of what many of us are grappling with.
Yeah, so first of all, no one ever asks men that question, ever. But it's a question women have, and I don't think it's because we're being unfair to women. I think it's because women juggle so much. Yeah, so sometimes I think men don't get asked because they don't need to. Because they can just be single focused at work, and that's all. And I don't need to worry. So I don't believe in like perfect balance all the time. I think it goes in waves. Okay. And when you need to, you do an all-nighter. And when you need to drop everything because your child is sick, you drop everything because your child is sick. There's no such thing. I mean, if there is someone who knows how to have that perfect. My Mondays look like this, my Tuesdays look like this every week. And I go to the gym at this exact time. I wish I was that, I'm not. But I think you've got to know what is most important to you for you to feel fulfilled and happy, right? Some people need a lot of time alone. They recharge alone, they lose energy around other people. Introverts, yeah? I'm an extrovert, so I get energy from other people.
Yeah.
And then when I'm alone, I don't need that much time alone. As I'm getting older, it's changing a little bit. But you know what? So I can do a lot more socializing, and that's important to me. So I will burn the candle on both ends in order to, and because I have FOMO. So the worst thing is like I'm working, and my friends are having fun, and then I see it on Instagram the next day, and I'm like, oh, man, no, I could have gone. So if you call me at 9 o'clock at night, I will probably get out of the house and go and meet you. But yeah, so I, I liked, but then where I'm struggling is I haven't found enough time for exercise.
Okay.
And to just kind of decompress. So I'm going to start meditating. And I've been saying that for a long time. I've never learned how to do it properly. So I'm going for a 1-week meditation course. I'm turning off my phone, and I'm going to meditate for 6 hours a day. Yes. So this is the before. Wait until you see the after. I'll be so calm. That's the plan.
Okay.
And then I'm also trying to take my health a lot more seriously. I did a full medical last week, like proper 5 hours of tests.
Wow.
Paka, they put ink in my body to see where the blockage is. And I am now on statins, which is the medication for cholesterol. So when you look at me, people think you have to be very big to have cholesterol. No. Cholesterol has nothing to do with your weight. Yeah? And it's a silent killer. So it's these kind of things. And I think maybe when you're young, you're less worried about it. But as we get older, it's very important. And there are now many things you can test on an annual basis or every other year. And so I would really encourage people. And things like your cholesterol level is a blood test. And it will cost you 1,000 or whatever. So you can test those kind of things.
Okay. Thank you so much, Wandia. Thank you for going extra and being open with us.
Left employment, didn't know what I wanted to do. Trained first to be a life coach. Realized I couldn't make that a business because it meant charging people a lot of money to listen to their deepest secrets, which felt unfair. So then in the process, one of my close friends and I, she was going through the same transition, so we started doing a lot of dance and fitness together. Mostly her. But I had FOMO, so I would join. So then in that process, we realized that there wasn't enough product for the things we wanted. We wanted to do salsa, and we wanted proper salsa shoes and dance sneakers and Pilates mats and all of that stuff. So that was the original idea of Vivo, was to supply that. Everything was going to be imported, everything was going to be sold online. When we realized that no one wanted to buy online, they wanted to touch it, feel it, try it, they started coming to my house. I'm like, I can't turn my house into a shop. So then we needed to open a shop, but then we had to sign a lease, and the lease was so expensive. I'm like, well, there are not enough people to buy dance shoes. Why don't we add clothing into the shop just so that we can cater to more clients, and then the clothing is what people liked. So then we pivoted. You go with the market sometimes, you think this is what people love, but they love this, so you give them more of this as you refine this other thing. So now we do very little fitness, hardly any actually, and we're almost 100% clothing. You didn't get a chance to say who you are. Did you want to share? What I believe is that it's very difficult to hide away from your business. Your business and you will get to be known at the same time. So I think you need to decide how much of that you're comfortable with, and what you'll put and what you won't put. And as some people choose to talk about everything, but expect if you do that, that everything will be then reacted to. You can't, a friend of mine always says, choose your action. You can choose your action, you can never choose the other person's reaction. Right? So if you're going to talk about your private life, expect people to comment about your private life, and you can't then get annoyed when that happens. So I think it has helped Vivo, and one of the things that I chose to do, which was for the brand as well, was when I chose to go on a show. There was a show on television a few years ago called Lion's Den, and I deliberately went on that because I thought it would be good for Vivo. And I also thought that it's good for people to see women. And because the producers of the show came and told me they couldn't find women. And I'm like, you can't just show men. Even though I was like, but I've never invested in anybody else's business, so I don't really know what I'm talking about. But they're like, it's okay. I think they were so desperate though. So I think sometimes you see opportunities that can contribute and you can benefit from as well. So you look for those kind of win-win opportunities. I think also choosing what you're going to talk about. So try and find the thing that you really care about to talk about. So then it comes across as authentic. So you're not answering to look a certain way because this is who you're talking to, and then tomorrow you're saying something different. I mean, so I talk about the things that I care about, and I don't know whether people really care about them or not, but they're the things I like to talk about, and sometimes they get big traction, sometimes they don't. I mean, in the beginning, I think you care about like how many followers, how many likes, how many, now I don't, but then I'm not growing that brand, and I'm not trying to monetize it. So I think also you need to know, are you doing it to monetize? And a lot of people will build a brand and they will become bigger than the brand. And so then they get more money, hi darling, even outside of what they're doing with their business. And that's a good thing if it works for them. So how, like for example, if we can get fabric from a supplier who allows us to pay when it lands in Kenya, as opposed to the one who says we have to pay when it's leaving China. Do you see? That alone, giving us those 3 weeks, helps us. So it's just always looking at the numbers. Don't be afraid of numbers. You cannot run a business without trying to understand your numbers, your working capital, finance. What are things costing? How can I negotiate? And if you need a mentor on that, there's people who study finance everywhere. Yeah? Just try to understand how money flows in and out of your business. Because it's one of the things that when I have mentored some entrepreneurs, I realize they're not on top of the numbers. So they don't actually know whether they're making money. They know money is coming and it's going, but they don't know if they're profitable. So yeah, I'm sure you are. I don't mean you, but yeah. So I think the tax thing is just the reality, and hopefully the government will, listen and not keep on increasing taxes. On the shipping costs, luckily those are dollar-based and the shilling has stabilized a bit. So we're able to plan for it. And of course, if you can consolidate, if you can do a bigger container, that means your cost per whatever is less. And if you're not doing container loads, then you can try and partner with people. But again, shop around. Look for all different quotations. Everybody's looking for business. You'd be surprised how many times we get a quotation even from a supplier on something like that. And you push back and you say, okay, I like it, but I want a 30% discount. Do you know, in the beginning, I used to look at my guy and say, how can you ask for that? That's so, so much. But you'd be surprised. Sometimes they agree, or they come back and they say, okay, not 30, but maybe 15. That time, you didn't even think you'd get a discount. So ask for discounts and for different payment plans. The question around scaling, there was was that the first question? All right, when to know when to scale, or what you need to scale. First of all, I think you have to be opportunistic around it. So first of all, is there demand? Just because you're selling and you can supply more, is there the demand side? We can do two. There's lessons to be learned, but machinery can make a big difference. And we didn't get investors for the machinery specifically, but I have pitched and pitched and pitched until I got tired of pitching. in the end, we got a grant that then collapsed when USAID collapsed, and we got one organization that lent us some money. After pitching for how long? A year. Maybe a year and a half, right? So I'm not saying that you shouldn't get money from outside, but understand what, how much do you need and how much of your time are you willing to spend? Because in that time that I was pitching, there was time away from the business. And now that I'm not pitching, am I more present? Yeah, you can see me leaving here even at 9 at night. Yeah, so I don't know whether the question is, there's no right or wrong answer. You have to understand your needs and what you're looking for. And then talk to people who can give you guidance, because getting an investor into your business is like getting married. Except you're going to divorce. For sure, you're going to divorce, because either you'll sell the business or something will happen. So you want to know this is someone I can work with. It's not just their money. They're going to influence you. They're going to push you in ways that you may like and other ways you don't like. And also when you sell to, I have investors, but they're friends and their family. Very few other than that. And none of them got special rights, conditions, all those long things. No, we all have equal shares. And when I started talking to these other bigger investors, it comes with a lot of conditions. So I panicked in the end. I'll be honest. And that's not to say that you shouldn't do it, but it just wasn't right for us at that moment. ShopZetu is 100% online. Vivo is about 7 to 8% is online, but obviously it is growing because the business is growing. So the volume that we sell online grows every single year. And what we believe is you especially for something like fashion, you must be in, if you're going to be offline, you must also be online. You can be online only, that's fine, right? But if you're online only, try to still find ways to interact with customers. Because what you don't get online is the feedback, the direct feedback, So go to pop-ups, find opportunities to, maybe ask another retailer to give you a little bit of space and you can sell in their store, whatever that looks like. But when you're offline, we invest heavily in digital, There's no, in fact, Betty said, there's no day that goes by I don't get something from Vivo. I think sometimes it's too much, to be honest, I wonder whether it's a bit too much. But what we realize is that drives even the shops. So the people who see something that you send them on WhatsApp, or if they get a newsletter, or whatever, or on Instagram, they will go to the store and say, I want this one. Yeah? So it's a huge part of marketing. Also, if they go to the store and they think they want it, but they're in a rush, their kid is crying, maybe they're like, let me go home, and then they go and they find it online. Now they're confident because they already saw it in store. So the two are very important, and I think, the generations are changing. So Gen Zs, much more online. So if you're trying to get your business ready for that next generation, you might as well start now. There's no harm. And I'm always amazed at the silver spenders. I call us the silver ones because of our hair. But very many are online as well. So it's not, we shouldn't assume because I'm selling to a slightly more mature customer that I don't need to be online. You must be online. And investing in good quality content, not to say that ours is always good quality. I always have feedback for the team on ways to improve it, but I think, it can't hurt, and that allows you to open up even to markets. Like right now, we can sell in the US from Kenya because of the online presence. Commercial strategy, so I didn't have any strategy, let alone a commercial one, until 2016, 17, when I did the program that Stanford runs, the Stanford Seed Program. So what I had was a budget. Every year we had a budget and a board, but the board was my brother and my friend. And they just used to say, nice, well done, well done. So then I did this program, and it takes you through a process, for those of you who might one day want to do it, where you actually build up, you do modules looking at aspects of your business with the intention of pulling that together as one big strategy. So I don't know if it was a commercial, I don't know, but it has commercial elements to it, right? So it looked at who you are, who your customer is, what your unique value proposition is, who your stakeholders are. It's a full realm, and by the end of that, we started realizing, one, we need a proper board. I needed a stronger management team. I needed, we needed structures and systems, the basics. And when we got the board was actually the people who pushed us to grow faster. I think at the time we had 6 stores, and we were opening like 1 a year, using internal generated revenue. And there were men on the board. And I say this because, as much as we like these things with women, we also need our men to push us. And when I say ours, I don't just mean your boyfriend. I mean the men around you, the other entrepreneurs. Men have a way of being very bold. Yeah. Sometimes too bold, so they need women to manage the risk, the risk level of it. Otherwise, your children might be hungry. But the guys on the board were like, "Huh? You want to open 1 store next year? Why? Why not open 5?" I'm like, 5? Yeah. From where? You know what I mean? Like it would never have occurred to me. And I was like, but how? And they're like, well, how much will it cost? And how quickly can you get that money back? And it's like, but where would you get the money? Okay, so you raise a little bit. So that's when I did my first raise. And it was from the board members. And a few other, because now they were coming on, I asked a few other people, and people were like, okay. Because they'd seen 4 stores, 5 stores, 6. So they already had something. It's difficult when you're asking someone to give you money and you haven't demonstrated. But we had accounts, we had a few shops, we had some traction, and they could see the opportunity. So that was how we started to scale at a bigger level. But it was still friends and family-ish. Because those board members, I didn't bring strangers. I still brought people that were friends, at least of friends. Yeah. But I looked for people who had expertise. I brought a guy who has 60 stores. When we had 6. Because you want that. You want someone who can tell you, by the time you're getting to 20, you need that. By the time you're getting to 50, you'll need this. Yeah? I wanted somebody who understood systems and tech. And that sort of thing. So I was very specific about the skills that I wanted at the board level. US, like I said, I mean, there it was a bit of also influence from the people I was talking to. Those guys who I was pitching to were saying, you need to take this thing global. So I was also responding to them in a way. I wasn't really, I had not thought of it myself or ourselves. We hadn't really talked about it. But because this guy came and he said, we'll fund you. Then we started putting plans together. Because when you're going to pitch, you need projections, you need a plan. So we paid people to help us come up with, put together a plan. And we got so excited, and we spent months, and then he ghosted us. By the way, investors can disappear, like the way a guy can forget you. You're calling them, they're not answering. In fact, I had to go meet him in the US and say, you're making me feel like a chick who's chasing a dude. I don't want to feel like that. If you don't want, just say, let me date other people, But he literally ghosted us. And so then we were left with a plan with no investment. And so then it was like, so what do we do? And there's a bit of ego and, sunken cost syndrome, and you're like, okay, then we just go ourselves. When I say we, it was me. I don't think anyone else really wanted it to happen, but I pushed, and then we started talking to the USAIDs of this world and whatever. In the end, it didn't work out the way we wanted to. And I'll be honest, even coming out and announcing, because there was so much hype about opening, and then now you're saying we're closing, you say that one quietly. Because, you feel bad, and you sort of feel, not shame, but it's a bit embarrassing, like you put all this effort, but then it's life, and I think it's impossible to go through a journey and not have ups and downs and highs and lows, and we're lucky. We're lucky because that USAID funding was funding going to refugee camps that stopped getting food. Do you know what I mean? Like, people really suffered, lives really suffered. I mean, we just had to swallow our pride and close a shop and then eat, lose the money that we had spent. But it didn't kill us. So in the end, we're lucky. But I still think the US is an opportunity. We just need to figure out a different business model that doesn't require the heavy lifting on the ground. So what I'm thinking is online from here. I'm thinking partners, distribution partners there. I'm thinking franchise. I'm thinking different ways, but the market is still exists, and I still think there's an opportunity. And not just for Vivo, for anyone who is doing something. And by the ways to try that, for example, is to go and test if you can go and do pop-ups there, or when Americans come here, maybe talk to be part of AmCham, the American Chamber of Commerce, when they're having events. Put your products there, get onto their programs. They have programs where they mentor, they do sort of mentorship program, especially for women. There's a lot of programs for women. So if you get into those sorts of networks, you meet people. When you meet people, don't think, I'm not going to talk to you if I don't think you can be helpful. You never know who's going to be helpful. And actually, by helping them, they might one day help you. So I don't have this very tactical kind of like, I'll talk to you because I know you're someone important. You actually never know. And I tell the ladies in the store, when you see someone walk in, don't assume. Someone might come in not looking like they can afford anything, and yet they have more money than all of us combined. But you make sometimes, and we have to talk about it, because it's something, they call it profiling. It's like you profile a customer. I'm like, don't do that. Never do that. First of all, even if they can't afford it, so what? They have a right to come in and see what we have and, help them, be helpful, be kind. So with the trend thing, luckily with the internet, there's no shortage of places to go to get inspiration. And we look globally, and then we try to modify that for what's here. And what we do then is we test in small batches so that the market tells us whether or not they're interested. So if it's something that we're not sure of, we won't make a lot. And we might not even put it in all the shops. We might put it online, because online you'll get quick reaction, and then you'll put it in maybe 1 or 2 stores and see. But yeah, I think we're not a design-led company. We're not the ones who are going to set the new trend, but we're able to take things that are trending and try and adapt it quickly and put it into the market. So we're more market-led, and we try to be consumer-led. Yeah? So I tell the people who come here for design, sorry, you mean all those crazy ideas you had, probably here's not where you're going to translate them, because we try to do very practical, functional, versatile clothing. We're not known for, you're not going to come to us for the red carpet event. Yeah? They're designers, they're amazing designers who do that. But that's not Vivo. So I think it's also, yeah. I think on the, on the big scale, I love the fact that you're dreaming. I mean, dreaming is such a big part of what keeps us motivated, right? But yes, it can be frustrating if you're not seeing traction. But you need to share how you went from cheating Betty that you that you were exporting to actually making it happen. And sometimes, yeah, you fake it a bit until you make it, but you have to have a plan to then deliver quickly. Thank you for the very kind words. And it sounds like you gain from coming, which I hope you have, but we gain from you coming, Sometimes it's easy to just be so bogged down with the day-to-day that you forget that there are people watching, there are people appreciating, there are people learning, there are people who are rooting for you, yeah? So thank you. On ERP specifically, yeah, we've gone through various iterations. When we first started the stores, we used something called Microinvest, which was very helpful. It was just a POS system. We then decided we wanted something more complicated. We moved to something called Endeavor, which is a Kenyan-developed ERP, but it wasn't on cloud. And with the more stores, we needed something that would real-time tell us where inventory was and not take a full day to kind of reconcile it. And we then moved on to Shopify as our POS system, as our online for the website, but we realized it has a very good POS. So then we rolled that out to the stores. Shopify doesn't do everything. It doesn't do finance, it doesn't do HR, it doesn't, so then we had to have all these other systems. So when I say we need an ERP, it's because we went back to very many different systems. Gorgeous for the help desk, Zoho for CRM, or QuickBooks for finance, something else for HR. So, and we're not at a stage where we can afford the best in class. So we can't do SAP, Microsoft Dynamics, all of those things. So in the end of a very long journey, we've opted to go for the brand that you see a lot of billboards around town saying, which is Odoo. Yeah? We haven't yet started. So talk to me in 6 months and in a year, and we'll happily share that story. But we've been talking to people who've been using it. It's more affordable, and it can cover the range of modules. So we have not had anything for manufacturing. We've been doing that very manually, Excel spreadsheets, things like that. So Odoo has that. It has HR, it has finance, it has point of sale, it has, So we think we'll do that. Hopefully, it will carry us for the next few years. And then, when we start hitting those nice numbers that we had put on the last slide, maybe one day we'll get to that SAP, if it's even necessary. Who knows? The way maybe there'll be AI versions of ERPs that that can help us. And then the question around 5 days a week. Okay, so when you're purely manufacturing, you can get away with saying that's the industry standard. Most manufacturing does 5.5 days, yeah? Retail also sometimes expects people to do 5.5 days, but we also had a lot of people who were sort of in the corporate sort of office that expected weekends off. And so it became kind of tricky to say that you're a business that, one team, we treat our people the same, but some expected to work on Saturdays and some don't get to work on Saturdays. So there was a time when that was the case, yeah? And then the people who were coming on Saturdays were feeling very, unhappy. Number one, it means extra transport. And let's not take for granted, People will sometimes spend more on transport than they do on rent. So that one extra day of fare is a big deal, yeah? And then it's a half day, so they're not even getting lunch. So then we thought, okay, what do we do? How are we going to manage? Because you'll lose the hours. So in terms of your production, your productivity. And what we said to the team was, if you want to stop coming on Saturdays, then you've got to find a way to make the same amount of product in those 5 days, Monday to Friday. And I think that's the kind of thing Stephen was saying. If you allow your team to be part of the solution, to come up with ways, and give them an incentive so it works for them. And actually our numbers didn't drop too much. And I think people are happier because of it. In the beginning, of course, after some time, now it's normal. Now they want something different. But in the beginning, it was we really like the fact that we don't have to, people want their weekends. Are we, that's it?
Yes, we are done.
Is there any burning question? You want the answer there, but is there any burning question for me? One last one in the corner. On the days that you want to give up, first of all, I think we've got to be very realistic around meeting our needs. So financially, if your business isn't giving you enough money to pay your bills, then you probably still need some other income. Yeah, and it's okay, I think that's fine. Even when I first started Vivo, I was still doing consultancy because I wasn't getting paid by Vivo at all. And so I was doing a bit of consultancy linked to my previous work, but I was trying to do it in a way that wasn't, it wasn't full time because I knew I still wanted this to work. So if you have other ways to, so that you're not too stressed, because money, there's money, the nice to have money, and there's the money you have to have. Yeah, so the money you have to have, don't let the stress of that go on too long. People have, I was listening to this young guy who might become mayor of New York City. I don't know if you guys watch US news, but anyway, the 33-year-old, he's now going to be the Democratic candidate. And one of the things that he did, before he decided to run for mayor, is he helped the New York taxi drivers get out of debt. and he structured financing. But he said the amount of taxi drivers who had committed suicide because they found themselves in so much debt. And I think we've got to be very careful not to put ourselves in that situation. Stress will make you sick. You know, it will make you do things you will regret. So they have to have money. Maybe, because wherever you are working, you develop some skills. Maybe you could say to yourself, I can work part-time. There are many companies now that can't afford full-time staff. So you find one of those ones and you say, you know what, I'll do your accounts 1 day a week, if that's, you know, your skill set. And then the other stuff, the stress of like, it's just too much. You know, no, I mean, you know, there are days when you want to pull your hair out or you want to pull somebody else's hair out. Those are the times when you do need to be very self-aware and just say, you know, do I need a break? Do I need to take a couple of days off? Do I need to go and talk to someone? Do you need therapy? I mean, there's nothing to be ashamed of needing therapy, you know? And like I said, there's AI. That can also, by the way, I'm not even joking, the #1 use of AI globally is for therapy and personal support. It is better than nothing. Yeah, so if you can afford a real therapist, go for it. If you can't, AI will help you. Yeah? So I think the truth of the matter is, if it was easy, everyone would be doing it and everyone would be winning. The reason that you know, you will succeed is because you're trying to do something that's a little bit hard, and that comes with some stress, but you've got to manage it. All right,
Thank you for your insights. Thank you for sharing. I mean, I agree that we need a second session. Are we all going to show up?
Yes.
I mean, at the beginning, we needed to have started with something, but I think we're organizing ourselves. We needed to have checked your expectation, but I want to check now. Have we met your expectations?
Yes.
Thank you. And at this point, as we wind up, I would just want to extend a special thank you. I know many people have said it. I know many people would have wanted the opportunity to actually express their gratitude personally to Ms. Wandia for not only being able to share her insight, but even inviting us to her home and being able to take us around for us to be able to see. And even at this point, as I reflect on this session, my take home is her humility. And I like that many people are noting the same. Her humility is mind-blowing, and most of us, and I mean we're all Kenyans, okay, except maybe a few, but we know that getting to the boss is the hardest thing ever. And seeking that appointment. So being able to just listen to the journey, listening to how she's been able to debunk that being top there, you're unreachable, is a good thing. So today we want to say thank you. Thank you for welcoming us to your home. Thank you for being open, for going over and above and sharing up to your wellness journey. There are those things, as you said, people would look at you and not imagine you'd be struggling with cholesterol. And just the wise words, the wisdom, I'm amazed. And on behalf of everybody, I want to say thank you and asante sana.